Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going deep into Genesis chapter 3, the Garden of Eden story. It's pretty famous.
Yeah.
But we're here to dig up some of those timeless human truths hidden inside. Get ready for some aha moments as we connect this ancient text to your life.
It's amazing how this story, it's like a psychological blueprint, you know? It shows us these patterns of human behavior that are still true today, even
Wow.
thousands of years later.
Yeah. Okay. So Genesis chapter 3. It's about Adam and Eve living the good life in paradise. Until a serpent shows up with a proposition. Eat from the forbidden tree of knowledge
Hmm.
and become like God, understanding good and evil.
And here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just a simple story anymore. It's like
Yeah.
it's making a deep observation about human nature. See, that serpent, he wasn't just offering an apple. He was offering knowledge, a shortcut to enlightenment. It's about that fundamental human desire to reach beyond our limits, to grasp for something more.
Right? It's that whole forbidden fruit thing, the things we know we shouldn't have. But we still want them. We see it everywhere, even now. That desire for the quick fix, the insider's secret, the belief that we can outsmart the system.
Exactly. And the story shows us how easy it is to manipulate those desires. Just like the serpent told Eve, that disobeying God would make her wiser. We're also bombarded with messages every day telling us that buying this product or achieving some status will make us better versions of ourselves.
That's so true. But in Eden, actions had consequences.
Right.
Adam and Eve's choice, it came with a big price.
Absolutely. The text says their eyes were opened, not just to knowledge, but to shame and vulnerability. They were banished from the garden. It's a reminder that our choices have ripple effects, even the small ones.
Consequences are a big deal today, too. It's like we're always choosing, and each choice could explode. So how does this ancient story connect to our complicated modern lives?
Think about it this way. Every decision we make, what we eat, what we say, it all sets off a chain of events, these consequences. They might not be immediate or obvious, but they shape our lives and the world around us.
Yeah, it's like what goes around comes around. Yeah.
Exactly. Adam and Eve's story, it reminds us that we're not just passengers. We have choices. We have the power to choose. But that means we have to be careful. We have to think about the consequences.
But there's also this lost thing. Adam and Eve, they went from being naive to being aware.
That's right. Loss of innocence is a big part of being human. When they ate from the tree of knowledge, they went from bliss to knowing too much. They saw their vulnerability and the good and evil stuff.
And that change from innocence to experience, we all go through that. It's like that moment when you realize the world isn't perfect.
Exactly. It's universal.
Oh,
Facing the harsh realities,
Remember
like
that.
the first time someone betrays you. Or realizing that life isn't fair. It's hard, but it helps us grow. It helps us understand the world.
We have to go through that to get good and evil, but even with consequences. And losing innocence. There's free will in Genesis. Adam and Eve made a choice. It had consequences, but it was still their choice.
Exactly. That's the point of the story. We're not puppets. We have free will. We can choose our own path.
But, with
Yes.
great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
We can choose, but we also have to own our choices. So how does free will work? When we make mistakes, when we choose the wrong path.
That's where redemption comes in, even when they messed up. Even with the consequences, there's hope for Adam and Eve. And for us.
Redemption. I'm not sure I follow. What does that look like in Genesis, and how does that apply to us?
Well,
Right.
some people think, even though Adam and Eve left the garden, things could still be okay. Humanity could find harmony again.
So even with the mistakes, there's hope for a second chance, for growth, for a fresh start.
Yes, the story reminds us that even when we fail, even when we have setbacks, we can learn, we can make things right, we can strive for something better.
That's a powerful message, especially these days. It's easy to get lost in the negativity, to get stuck in the mistakes and consequences. But Adam and Eve's story, it gives us hope. It reminds us that we are not our failings. We can grow. We can change.
And that growth, it comes from learning from the past, our own past, and the stories that came before us.
Like they say, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it.
Exactly. When we study stories like Genesis, we learn about ourselves,
Mhm.
about the things that make us human. And we can use that knowledge to make better choices, to break free from negativity, to create a better future.
So Genesis chapter 3, it's not just about what happened in the garden. It's about what happens inside us every single day. It's about our desires and responsibilities, our freedom and consequences, finding hope even when we're not perfect.
You got it. It's a classic story. It still matters today because it's about what it means to be human.
It really makes you think, how can a story be so old
Mm.
and still hit so close to home. But there's one part I'm still stuck on, that whole knowing good and evil thing. Like,
Yeah.
Adam and Eve wanted to be like God, and knowing the difference between right and wrong, that was the key.
Right. It's a deep thought. And it
Mhm.
makes us ask, what does it even mean to really know good and evil? Is it just about the rules, knowing right from wrong in your head? Or is there more to it, something deeper?
Yeah, that's it. It's different knowing something
Yeah.
and really understanding it.
Exactly. Maybe that's what Adam and Eve really learned. Yeah, they got knowledge, but it wasn't free. They paid a price. They felt the pain, the heartache that comes with knowing, the weight of responsibility.
So it's not just about eating the fruit. It's about the whole journey, the ups and downs of figuring out right and wrong.
Exactly. Real knowledge, real wisdom. You can't just be given that. You have to earn it through trial and error, facing hard truths about yourself, about the world. It becomes part of you.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Garden of Eden. We hope you found a new way to see this old story and how it connects to your life today.
And remember, the next time you're facing a tough choice or struggling with something complicated, think about Adam and Eve. Their story reminds us that growth and understanding come with a price. But even with our imperfections, even when we make mistakes, we have the power to choose, to learn, to create a better way forward.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking the tough questions. We'll see you on our next deep dive.